Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bunbun, and this is our Only Murders in the Building Season 4, Episode 3 preview. For those of you unaware, the title for this upcoming episode is Two for the Road, and here's where things get a little bit interesting, and we literally just looked at this before we came on and did this video. Every title that has been confirmed so far for Season 4 have all been titles of movies. And, Jess has talked about already in some videos how Once Upon a Time in the West, the title for the premiere, and that movie that we saw in the premiere is about revenge.
Revenge, my favorite.
Are there connections between all of these films and what this season is trying to tell us? I will already say here that I have not seen Two for the Road. I have not seen a lot of these movies that are apparently used for episode titles, but it's something to think about, I think, for now.
I really love that they're doing this. I mean, this season is obviously about the movie. It's also about Sass, of course, but the movie is seemingly going to be a bigger plot point going forward here. I know that we saw a little bit of it in the premiere. We didn't really see very much of anything in it for episode 2. Just a couple signs around the building being like, don't film here, don't let this happen, no movies in the building. But it looks like going into this next episode 3, there will be more of the movie being involved. So it's a really nice tie-in that these episodes are named after films.
Yeah, and we have a lot to talk about in this preview in particular about that sign that Jess mentioned. Where in the building are they allowed to film? Right. Are they going to try? Who's up in arms over all of it beyond
Uma.
Yeah.
She's not going to want anybody in the building.
No, I'm all for that.
Uma. I don't want anybody filming in the building either.
I'm probably somewhere between Uma and Richard Kind, where I'm definitely not going to be that eager to have someone come on the show around. Maybe I'll have like here's Eugene Levy. I'm really excited about that. But no, Eugene Levy's going to be back in this episode, and we'll explain a little bit more about what the new trio could be doing alongside the old trio. Before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because 3 times a week, we are here with Only Murders in the Building goodness. Tuesdays at 9 a.m., you can get our reviews for each episode, then later that day, previews, and on Wednesday, theory discussions. We have a great one coming tomorrow about the long game and what it means in the context of everything we have seen on the show.
Also, later tonight, we're going to have our review up for the first episode of Slow Horses. Season 4 is a show that we really like, that if you're into thrillers and mysteries, then we know you are, because you're here with us.
Yes.
This is another really great show that's also a thriller mystery. And then The Old Man, that is starring Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow, is coming back for season 2 next week. It is so good. Also another thriller mystery. We have a lot going on here at the channel. Yes. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and stick with us. Also, we're going to be covering The Penguin, which is a new crime show that's going to be coming up starring Colin Farrell. We're going to be covering that exclusively on our Patreon. So if you're part of our Patreon, you will get weekly videos on The Penguin. We will have a link for you below if you want to join our Patreon. It helps support Matt and I here at the channel so that we're able to continue to bring you these videos. So thank you so much to everyone who is supporting us. It really means a lot to us.
Thank you. We really, really appreciate it.
Okay, let's get into the whole, can they film the movie at the Arconia? And can anybody actually stop it? It's kind of an interesting situation because we know that the Westies in the West Tower are renting, so they wouldn't necessarily have a choice. It'd be whoever owns the building can decide to do what they want over there.
Yes.
But over on the other side of the Arconia, everybody owns their units, so it's more like a co-op type situation. So they would have a say in if they're shooting in their apartments that they own. But the person who owns the building would still be able to give rights to be able to film in, say, their more public spaces like the lobby or the hallways or something like that. But they would not be allowed to film in each person's apartment without their specific permission. So it's interesting to see signs around there. So clearly there are residents there. They're like, not in my lobby. Like, I don't want you guys here. And In a lot of ways, I understand. I mean, once upon a time, I was a filmmaker, and going into people's homes or going on location into people's businesses and filming is a lot. It's not just, a guy coming in with a camera and Eugene Levy. Like, it's a lot of lighting, moving your furniture, taking things out, putting things in, putting holes in your walls. All kinds of stuff is happening when you sign that off.
Yeah, it's a big inconvenience for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people at the Arconia, and we've seen this already, who just want to go about their lives. And so I
Right.
anticipate resistance within this episode. I will already say my dream scenario for this episode, which, by the way, this is a dream. It's not going to happen for pretty clear financial reasons, is that Uma is going to just start playing the entire catalog of the Rolling Stones at full
Oh my
volume
God.
so that nobody can shoot anywhere close to her, or they're going to have to pay Mick Jagger $2 billion.
That is such a great idea. I would absolutely do that.
It's like a perfect thing. And I've seen this even on like newscasts before, or if somebody just doesn't want anything to be filmed, they'll just start singing a very, very popular song that they won't want to pay royalties to.
Absolutely. But I could see Howard being really excited to have like a Eugene Levy in
Yeah.
there. Gut Milk Lady is going to be down there trying to sell her gut milk. We
Sure.
haven't seen her yet. Yeah, I know. I'm sure she'll be here.
We need the gut milk. Okay, here's the synopsis for this episode. It's not much, so be prepared for that in advance. But our beloved trio of Charles, Mabel, and Oliver, they are going to have to reluctantly, and that's a big word, it's in the synopsis, or begrudgingly, or it's a
Yeah.
synonym of that, but they have to pair off with the actors who are playing them. Eugene Levy's at Galifianakis and Eva Longoria. You may have seen in the trailer already, it looks like little scenes where the actors are shadowing each individual member of the trio. I think we're going to see a good bit of that in this episode.
Read your contracts, because that's probably part of the contract. Like, if it's not, then they could easily just say, okay, we already signed away our life rights. We don't have to do this for you. And we're not going to do this for you because Saz is dead and we're busy doing something else. We're moving on with our next podcast. You guys are, filming our old podcast. We're moving into the new podcast and it doesn't involve you and I don't have time for you. But you guys signed on the dotted line. So chances are that it's in there that these guys are allowed to shadow them for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, and that's what makes this really, really delicate now, is that they have this case that they're taking on that they didn't know about previously, and they have to sort of still find a way to focus on Saz. Now, I know Charles was pretty shut away on this past episode, but I think after everything he went through with Jan, with seeing Saz,
He's going to tap in.
He is tapping in. He's ready to go. He's going to be out there. Now, of course, the problem is, how big of an inconvenience is it going to be for each one of these people to have to work alongside an actor? Because Eugene Levy's at Galifianakis and Eva Longoria, these are not private detectives. These are not people who have done any of this. They've already made jokes about how they're all used to being pampered and cared for. These people are not discreet at all. Like, how are you actually going to be able to use them to your advantage?
Okay, everybody, get your tinfoil hats out. Everybody got your tinfoil hats on? Okay, here's my theory.
Okay.
We're going to see our trio split off into these pairs with the person that is shadowing them. I think that the whole purpose of this is not necessarily to shadow. The purpose for us as the viewers, it's going to be that one of them is probably going to let something slip of somebody who's connected to the movie that's going to be something that was on Saz's desk that the trio knows about. So someone might drop the name Dudenoff or something along those lines, or something that's connected to Charles's past, or a name that Charles recognizes. It's going to be something that's going to come up just in casual conversation. As, say, Eugene Levy's getting to know him better, that, oh, this is what I don't know about you, but this is what I do know about you. Oh, Scott Bakula mentioned blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you talking to Scott? Why was he at that party at all?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. I think something's just going to slip by accident that's going to be connected to what's happened to either Dudenoff or Saz or something that they've seen.
I think a reality of the situation here, and I don't want to paint with too broad a brush and stereotype all actors as this way, but there are a lot of actors who like to talk about one thing above all else, themselves, and also everyone they
You're not
know,
wrong.
everyone they're working with. Like, it is conceivable to me that one of them could just be mid conversation and being like, oh, and then I had a conversation with Pam Dudenoff down in wardrobe and we got ourselves sort of prepared. So it's kind of like you're saying that somebody may let something slip that is an important name,
Mhm.
but because the trio, they don't know everybody who's on the crew at this point. Obviously they've been in LA for, what was it, a day,
Yeah.
2 days,
Yeah.
like they didn't meet everybody. So if there is a Dudenoff working on the movie, they're not going to know it, or they're not going to know if it's anybody else who's associated with their past. Like Charles may run into somebody who was a crew member on Brazos. There's a lot of different potential possibilities, but of course a lot of this is tied to, are we going to see just the actors in this episode, or are we going to see the entire crew? It feels like things are moving forward pretty fast, so there's a chance that the director and the writers and all these other people could be out there at this point.
They're 3 weeks up from filming. They
Yeah.
they got to get to the location and start to get going on some stuff. I'm assuming that the Arconia would be a huge location for them and that they would be doing most of their filming at the Arconia, considering if it's about, let's say, just the first season of the podcast, it like all took place in the building, really.
Yeah.
So we're gonna very likely see them there unless they're able to keep them out of the building and then they have to just build an Arconia set, which it seems like that would not be the thing. It
No.
wouldn't make any sense to then connect what's going on with Saz and have the trio at this imaginary set. It would be
No.
almost like the play all over again. I think it's just going to be more chaotic having this film crew there, having
Mm-hmm.
probably the killer there, because I think it's going to be somebody who's somehow connected to the movie,
Yes.
whether it's somebody working on the movie or whether it's somebody who's jealous of the movie, which is where people like Scott Bakula come in.
Yeah, like I sort of said in the premiere reaction that I think it might be one of the schmucks who we just sort of saw briefly around when Bev Mellon, did I say her name correctly?
Bev Mellon.
I can never remember her full name, but okay, yeah, it might be one of those random crew members who we saw briefly who is
Yep.
doing this and working on it. But I think the problem is that Charles, he's not fully at a point here where he thinks the killer is connected to the movie. And, why would he be right now? At the time in which Saz was killed, he didn't know that the movie was actually a thing at that point.
Right.
But he might let his guard down a little bit because some of this is happening. And he might think he's in a little bit of a safer place than he really is, especially if there's a film crew around, especially if, Eugene Levy is around. If you think you've got either literal or metaphorical bodyguards, maybe you're going to start feeling like you're okay. But then again, Charles is a pretty paranoid person. I don't know if he's ever fully going to get there.
Yeah, but it is like you said, sort of safety in numbers, right?
Mhm.
So you're in your home, you're in your building, you feel okay there. There's lots of people around. What could happen to you when there's lots of people around? I mean, we didn't just watch Ben die on the stage in front
Yeah.
of an entire audience, but it can make you feel safer that there's a lot of people around. But in general, I think we've seen Charles move past this because of the message that Saz left him. Tap in. And at this point, he's like, man, she's been there for me my whole career, a lot of my life. She's changed everything for me. And she's always tapped in when something is happening to me. I am going to, button it up,
Mhm.
get my house in order, and I'm going to make sure that I find out who did this to her.
Okay, so where we are right now with the mystery is that a lot of attention is being paid to the Westies, and understandably
Yes.
so, given that the Dudenoff place is over there. It seems pretty clear that they have all been in the Dudenoff place at some point, that they're all probably hiding a certain something. The card game was mentioned on the big murder board. This is where Eugene, Zach, or Eva, one of them may actually come in a little bit handy here, because based on what we have sort of seen, at least from Richard Kind, I know his name is actually Vince Fish. I am going to have a very hard time not calling him Richard Kind. And, Mama Sauce is that they seem to like famous people. They seem to like the world of Hollywood. can Eugene Levy or Zach, like, just somebody go over there, work some charm on them? Maybe they get some more information that way.
I would like more information on the Christmas bro. Like, what is going on with
Yeah.
him? We saw him for like a second. He's a huge actor. I feel like we're going to get to know him better probably in this episode. If we've got the trio split off into pairs with their doppelgangers, it does feel like their focus is over there in that Dudenoff apartment. I mean, they found tinsel there, so
Yeah.
Christmas bros got to come into play.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Camille Nanjiani. I used to listen to him podcast about video games. Like, I'm really excited that he's on the show. He's really, really funny. I mean, I don't want to judge anybody who celebrates Christmas year round because it's a magical holiday. I am somebody who really tries hard to not take the tree down come like January 2nd. I kind of feel like rolling into February, March, I would be a little bit over it at that point. I don't know the psychology of this man, but it's pretty worthy that we have to think about him as a suspect. Do I think that any of these Westies is actually the killer? No, I don't. It just feels too early on the show for that to be happening. And also, we don't have any motive. It doesn't seem like anybody over there has any reason to take out Charles from what we have seen.
No, the fact that we found tinsel in the Dudenoff apartment tells me right away that it's not him. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to give such an obvious clue in episode 2. I don't think it's any of them.
Yeah.
They, we've spoken a bit further on this trio in our review, and sort of like, do we think that they could be the killers? And really the answer is no. Are they doing some shady things? Yes.
Yeah.
And do they have some secrets? Yes. And do they involve that Dudenoff apartment? Yes. But did they kill Saz? No.
I think it's all just we're in this spot where the show is still dropping as many red herrings as possible. Like,
Yeah.
technically, we don't even know for sure that Charles was the target. We're just assuming that that is the case because of all the information we've given, plus, the strong physical resemblance that's there.
Yeah. I mean, we have a theory video coming up tomorrow about more of the long game and whether or not, Saz was the target, Charles was a target, or were they both the targets because of a bigger secret that they both know? Dun, dun, dun.
I just think where we are right now in this season and what makes it so fundamentally exciting is that we know a lot of characters at this point. Like, we've seen a lot of people, but we haven't actually seen anybody who it feels like has a real actual motive for wanting to do this. It's like, the celebrities, they're going to stand to lose a lot financially if they were going to do it. Same with the director, same with the writer, the Westies, it seems like they're fascinated by Charles, that they are interested. They like watching him. So why would you get rid of the person who, you're watching so much?
Well, that's the thing. Are they watching him outside of Mama Sauce? Are they watching him, or are they looking at him because he's staring out the window at them? Like, he's looking at them so much that he's made up whole backstories and names for them. Like, Christmas Bros is working out and having his candy cane, and he's looking out the window, and here's Charles looking through his window.
Charles, you need some new hobbies, my dude. Like, may I recommend Skyrim? May I recommend, I don't know, knitting? Can you find something to do?
How about CrossFit? People love CrossFit, and all they want to do is talk about their CrossFit.
That is the most true thing that we have ever said in any of these videos. Is Christmas guy CrossFit guy at the same? Because if that's the case, game over. He didn't do it because he's only talking about two things:
That's
Christmas
right.
and CrossFit.
That's right.
There's nothing else he has time for.
That's right.
Okay, no, that's what we got. Moving into Only Birders in the Building, Season 4, Episode 3. I think this is going to be a really fun episode. Hopefully, we get some more clues. Like, right now, we are sort of in this spot where it feels like this murder is very, very personal, and there's probably a deeper motive that we're going to find out. But hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any of our coverage. 3 videos a week: review, preview, theory. Also, join our Patreon. As Jess said earlier, we are covering the Penguin exclusively over there. So if you are down for some Batman extended universe, that's really just the crime thriller, we are here for you. Thank you so much to our patrons for your support. We'll see you here next time.